Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as she travels the Vortex and arrive at episode number 455, not with her TARDIS, but with an Ada. My codename's not Logan because I don't look like Wolverine. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
I have nothing witty to add.
That was all good. That was all good open, Keith.
Thank you. It's great to have new Doctor Who material like this to mine from. Did you guys have a good holidays?
Yeah, not
We
bad.
did.
Not bad at all. Yeah, we haven't seen each other since Christmas, right?
Before Christmas.
Yeah. That was nice. We went to Wichita for Christmas. Got quite a haul. I can talk about this. I finally finalized my DVD collection. I have. This is the first time in the history of this show and our friendship that I now have more Doctor Who DVDs than my friend Sean here. Because you're still one away, right?
I am. So I picked up Resolution as a late Christmas gift to myself. So now I'm back to only needing Curse.
Curse of Fenric, yeah. Which you can get relatively cheap now,
I haven't seen that
right?
one drop
But
yet.
I think it's dropped,
Right.
but I don't think it's the
not the
re-releases
reprint.
yet.
It's down to about $50 now, which is
Yeah. I think
okay,
I
but-
saw it for 47, so yeah. Still, that's reasonable. Well, I don't know what my mom paid. My mom got it for me for Christmas. The Invasion. It was the last thing that I needed. And my mom got it for me for Christmas. And last I saw it, it was still $69, so she must have paid upwards. She must have wondered why she was paying $70 for a DVD. But when I opened it and shouted and cheered, then I think she thought she must have done good. So
That's what I told Mel.
That's awesome.
Like I don't know how I feel about I don't know that I want to pay $50 for it, and assuming it finally drops or goes to video on demand and it's a $20 title again, do I go ahead and pick it up then, or do I just break down and upgrade to the Blu-ray set, knowing that it's coming,
right.
and then I kind of feel like I will have missed out on that one. That, well, it escaped me. I never got that one on DVD. Not that I need it, but it's like not owning that one version of the Star Wars trilogy on VHS. It still kind of sticks in my craw a little bit.
the other Who stuff I got was I finally got this was the year of getting all the things from that have been on my Christmas list for years. My mom also got me the Big Finish Companion Volume 2. So,
Oh, very nice.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, they never did any more beyond those, but I have the two that exist now. So, and I got a little.
And we're still in that one in our review schedule. So
I don't think so. I think we're past it now.
Isn't
too.
it 75 and 75?
Well, yeah, but we passed 150.
No.
Oh, we're not. Oh,
No.
there are some of them are in there. And then I got these really cool looking bookends. Have you seen those on Amazon? That's that blue thing up there. I think they were on. I think I've seen them on Etsy, but they're bookends, and they actually look like red phone boxes, but somebody's painted them blue, so they kind of look like a TARDIS. So I'm using those on top of the bookshelf that has my DVDs, so I can hold my Blu-rays and they won't fall off like they
That's
were
pretty
nice.
snazzy.
before. And then I got Doctor Who season 1 or series
Very
1.
cool.
So Ninth Doctor's stuff on Blu-ray. So now I have everything from the new series on Blu-ray now. So, which is nice. So
Now, is Eccleston available individually?
that's what that one is that I got. Is
Series
it
1
was
on Blu-ray.
re-released series 1 on it. So it's got the old packaging. It doesn't have the new packaging
okay.
like
That's
the
why. All
I
right.
assume that eventually they're going to probably do an Eccleston collection and have the new logo on it.
Well, because I've seen a new logo art for Eccleston and Tennant. They've
Yes, for the
put them together
DVD.
as is that a DVD?
That's a DVD set.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a DVD set.
Okay.
So,
Well, then, yeah, because there's a Blu-ray then for Tennant by himself. So
yeah. So I kind of thought, should I wait and see if they do release it one in the same font? And then I thought, I'm not going to go back and collect all the rest of my Blu-ray because from Matt Smith on, everything I have is
original
on Blu-ray.
release,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to go back and replace those with that font. So yeah, when I actually put that on my list this year, and
The purist in me would
Got it.
actually, as much as I like having the uniform spines, I'd like it better if each era had its own
Yeah.
logo on it.
Yeah.
so that's
You're one up on where I'm
well.
at then.
The thing is, though, my David Tennant collection has the new logo on
logo.
it. So, but it's the only one that has that logo. So, anyway,
Well, if
so
you get really twitchy about it and decide that you want to dump your Tenet collection to go rebuy it with the correct box art, you just let me know and I'll
well, I
pick
wouldn't
it
do
up
it
for
with
you
the
for cheap.
wouldn't do it for the Tennant collection. But oh, I see. So that I could match
So they would match the correct-
football logo.
Yeah, the football.
Elongated.
Oh, back in the days.
Nope, that's it. I am caught up on, and I've got I just got, because I had a gift card. I just ordered, and just received a week ago, the Colin Baker series that's out now. So the Trial of the Time Lord
nice.
season. So
Very nice.
yeah, so I am all caught up on Blu-rays. I'm just eagerly awaiting things as they come out now, which I'm going to buy as they come out now, so I don't
So you
get
don't
so
play catch up.
woefully behind again like I did last time. That was pretty much it for as far as Doctor Who stuff. But
My Who haul was really small this year. It was a calendar and the Macroterra,
oh, you got the Macroterra?
Yeah.
Good.
which I didn't have previously, obviously. So that was nice.
John?
I didn't get anything Who this year. I don't know.
We played the Escape.
I feel bad now.
We played.
Wow, I depressed myself.
You got yourself a gift of Who.
Well, yes,
So
I
there you
bought
go.
myself a resolution from last year.
Oh yeah. We played 2 of those escape game rooms. Now
I saw your
you-
text, and I didn't get a chance to reply.
The first one was a blast. It had a lot of arguments, but
You should give some context since we didn't actually talk about this on.
so last week we didn't talk about it, or last time we met, we exchanged gifts, and I got 2 games from Sean, and I got a game from Keith. 3 games from Sean and a game from Keith. And the game from Keith was, I can't remember the name of it. We still haven't opened it yet, but because we took it with us.
I can't remember the name of it either.
We took it with us to Christmas, but then we ran out of time to play games. So
Was it 60s era?
yeah, it's kind of
style?
it's like a kitschy B movie monsters game, card game,
Yeah.
where you're trying to collect the monsters. And then Sean got me 3 games that are designed like escape rooms, and what really they're so much fun in there. I think they're totally worth the money. But what stinks about them is that once you play them through, you're done. You can't play it again, and you can't give it to anybody else because you literally cut and mutilate cards, and because you have to. For example, the first riddle on the one we had to cut the corner of the card so that it would line up in a little groove on a thing, so that would point to a clue that would show us how to get into the next area. And there are some that we had to fold the little clue cards up in order to form, certain things, and so the like I say, the first one went a blast. The second one, which we stepped up because one of them is like closer to novice, and one of them is closer to the one we haven't done yet. It's nearest expert, but we did the easiest one and then the second hardest one. And the second one, we ended up getting a lot of extra clues, because you can get clues and all the way to the solution. And what it is you're not timed like per se that you have so much time to do it, but you run a timer, and then for you take your total time doing it plus how many hints you got, and that gives you scores you at the end.
Okay.
So on the first game we got 6 stars. On the second game we only had 2 because we asked for a lot of hints. And then we actually went all the way to the solution but didn't count the solution on the very last one because we had figured out how to do it, but the numbers were not the same as the solution. The numbers we saw in would not work. And it was literally you took and set up this contraption using the box to look through and get the numbers. And we got the numbers. It was really clear to us what the numbers were. And then when we looked at they wouldn't work, we looked at the solution, and it was 3 different numbers that would never have fit in the set. So there was a broke element to it. So we didn't count that against us, but because we'd figured it out. But that was just me, Holly, just me, Holly, and Caitlin. But Holly got so frustrated with it, she walked away, and Caitlin and I ended up finishing it. So it might be a little bit before we do the next one. We might give ourselves a little bit of a break before we do the next one. But they are a blast. We really enjoy them.
Well, good. I'm glad that.
Cool.
I'm glad that half of the gift was fun.
Yeah. Well, a third anyway.
Or a third of it.
Did you guys do anything?
I read a book.
Anything for New Year's? Did you guys do anything exciting for New Year's?
No.
Go out? Did you stay up? Did you even stay up to midnight?
Heck no.
You didn't even stay up to midnight?
We did.
You guys played some games, though, right?
We did play some games. Still haven't got to yours yet. It was sitting there, and the group that we had over for New Year's wasn't really.
It was probably too big, too.
Yeah, well, yeah,
you can only play four.
Yeah. So we wound up. I don't even remember what we played first. I think we played Ticket to Ride, and then Patrick wanted to play Flux. I'm like, okay, we can play Flux, and then he wanted to combine two of the sets together. Now I know that you can do this. I've never actually done
But
it.
should you do this?
I'm going to unequivocally say no.
Depends on the sets. I think you could probably combine the two or three Star Trek sets and have one big massive Star Trek universe set.
Probably. We did Firefly and Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
And ultimately what wound up happening, I don't know if you've ever played Flux, but you have a goal that you have to work for, and the rules change as you go. And ultimately what happened is...
Hopefully people know how to play if they watched our...
Oh, yeah. That's true, yeah. All those cards that enable you to prevent somebody from doing something, well, now there's twice as many of them. And so it kind of became a matter of Wayne and Julian and Kenny were very much playing spoilers, going, no, nobody's going to win. They didn't really care. They just didn't want anybody to win. As a consequence, that game dragged
I'm
on,
sure.
And I mean, it was 5 hours, I think, we
my.
played Flux, and we finally just gave up in disgust. We kind of looked up from our cards and went, hey, the ball dropped. Happy New Year.
Well, the challenge with that would be there aren't really any creepers in Firefly. And
There are.
There's but only, not very many. It's hard. You don't come across them very often.
Well, it seemed like we had them all out.
But there's more in Doctor Who than there
there
are
more?
Firefly. Yeah. So
well, because there's multiple Daleks that are creepers.
Well, and then
even.
there's the Cybermen. There's all sorts of... Basically,
Mine
all the villains are creepers.
I'm just comparing to like Zombie Flux, where there was a lot of creepers in it. Too,
Yeah.
so.
In fact, I don't remember which goal it is, but one of the goals is if you have 4 Dalek creepers, it's a Cult of Skaro or something,
Yeah,
and you
it's a
win,
win,
you
yeah.
know. But yeah, I mean, it was.
But in comparison, Firefly is like... You have the Reavers, and I think that's it.
There's Hands of Blue, and there's a couple of them, but yeah,
just
you're
not
right.
a
There's
lot.
not as many. But consequently, it was very much a don't do this. That was the lesson that we pulled from that. So
We went to bed early. Oh, at least as early as Gemma will let us. Gemma did get into the game you got me for Christmas.
Oh, she did?
She liked the little figures, the little
the little artifacts? Yeah.
the little artifacts, and the little ones that came in the little bag that were supposed to be character
just
markers.
little pawns, yeah.
She
got
liked those.
into it like she enjoyed playing it with you, or got into it like she opened the box and carted off half the pieces?
The latter. We have this cabinet that has all our games in it, and I've had to take all the Flux boxes out because she likes getting in them and just going through all the cards. And the last time she literally just dumped them all on the floor.
Oh, no.
Luckily, they're pretty easy to distinguish which kind is which.
Yeah.
So we put them away and put them up on a shelf. And then she got into the game you got us, so I put that away because I didn't want... She still tries to eat things when she shouldn't, and I didn't want her to eat one of those little figures.
Right, yeah.
Let's see, if she listened, I could have warned her, don't add them together.
Well, she must have been thinking along the lines you guys were, because it was around the same time. I don't know if it was New Year's Eve, but it was pretty close.
It was like a bad meme. Play with all the cards!
Yeah.
No, you don't want to do this.
Did you guys watch any movies over the break?
We watched X-Men Dark Phoenix.
Oh, I still have not watched that.
It was okay. Wasn't good. Wasn't bad. It just kind of was.
Yeah.
I didn't really like it.
I think I prefer Last Stand, just because I think the Cure plot line is really interesting of that. And
I mean,
unfortunately,
as far as Phoenix stories go.
yeah. But because that feels like two movies shoved together, the Phoenix story and the Cure plot line.
Yeah.
And this doesn't have any other plot line but the Phoenix, really. And it's just, I don't know, there's a line in it where Magneto says to Xavier, "You're gonna give a speech, and you're gonna say you're sorry, and nobody cares." And I kind of felt that way about the movie.
Wasn't that the most meta line in
Yeah.
the entire franchise? And you just had to wonder.
It had some decent action, but then afterwards I looked up and saw who directed it and wrote it, and the same guy who co-wrote The Last Stand.
For real?
They gave this guy a second chance, and he still screwed it up.
Wow.
Now, to hear him tell it, this was originally supposed to be 2 films, that they were going to break the action of the Phoenix Saga into the next 2 parts. And then after...
Disney.
Well, that was part of it. But what was the last one?
Apocalypse.
Oh, Apocalypse. After Apocalypse didn't do very well.
Yeah.
Fox was like, nah, one movie.
Yeah.
We're kind of winding it up.
We're at one at a
Part of the
time.
problem is they ignore most of the history of what's already happened, even
Sure.
in this new timeline.
Yeah.
So as a standalone, it's fine, but then you're not emotionally invested in any of the characters, and you're
Right.
still not very emotionally invested because the main thrust is Jean Grey, and we just met her last movie.
Right.
So it's
Yep.
still kind of, well, why should we care? And other things that happen, it's just, okay, I was kind of done with this part of the story anyway, so I don't care anymore.
We met Jean 2 movies ago.
No, it was just Apocalypse.
No, we met Jean Grey in Days of Future Past. Her and Scott, and they're all at the
No,
school.
that was all Apocalypse.
No, they're all.
No,
at
he's
school.
right. They
Oh,
are
they're all
right.
at
at
the
the
school.
end. Yeah, okay.
No,
No.
at the beginning. Throughout it. In fact,
Because Days of
that's
Future
where,
Past is young and old,
Yeah.
but it's the new crop of young.
right.
'cause it's
They
not
don't.
first class,
Arguably, they don't get a lot to do because it's mostly
I'm pretty
Wolverine's
sure that
movie.
was pretty much all.
No, because
Apocalypse.
remember they blow up the school and
Yeah, that happens in Apocalypse.
and what's his name?
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver has to run in and save all the kids.
Yeah, that happens in Apocalypse.
No.
Yeah,
No.
yeah,
No.
because Quicksilver's big thing in Days of Future Past is
was the
Oh,
yeah,
he's
you're right.
right.
You're right. Yeah.
because he gets
That's
one
when they
big
go to
set
the-
piece per movie.
Yeah, you're right.
And that was Apocalypse.
He debuted in Days of Future Past. You're right.
You're right.
He was
I
there.
was-
but
So
I
they
was
went to
shifting
the
all the
movies.
movies back. Yeah.
yeah,
They went to the movies while that was happening in Apocalypse.
yes,
You're right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, so it was only one film before. Keith's right.
Yep.
I mean, Jean Grey was in Days of Future Past, but not Sophie Turner's Jean
Right.
Grey.
Right. Not the same.
That's where I thought you were going.
No. No.
I think we just illustrated how really interchangeable these
Exactly.
plots
Well,
are.
that's just
Yeah,
it.
it's true.
I had shifted elements from the movies
You
back
meshed
further
the two
than they
movies
were.
together.
Yeah.
You tried to make Apocalypse better by injecting Days of Future Past into it.
That's true. That's true.
Which I still maintain Apocalypse isn't horrible. As a standalone X-Men adventure, it's like, yeah, this
It's
is-
just
this
on
is
the
not
heels
bad.
of Days of Future Past. It's, that Days of Future Past should have been the end of all the X-Men films.
Yeah.
You shouldn't continue beyond that.
Now you're done.
I did read a book, though.
What'd you read?
Star Wars Lords of the Sith. It's one of the early new canon books featuring, focusing on Vader and Emperor and the Free Ryloth movement from Clone Wars and Rebels. It's really good. It's one of those stories where you know how it's going to end, but you're so captivated by what's going on that you just want to keep knowing what's happening. I highly recommend it. It's really, really good. Centers on a Twi'lek attempt to assassinate both the Emperor and Vader aboard a starship above their planet.
Huh.
It's really good. It toes that perfect line between original trilogy and
No, you're popping. Moving back.
prequels.
Yeah.
It touches and dips into Vader's mindset post, Revenge of the Sith and remembering his past as opposed to completely forgetting it, and then builds towards a rebellion. It's all really, really well done.
I'm just now about to finish up Master and Apprentice.
I've heard good things
which
about
is
that.
the Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan early story. Yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's really, really good.
Nice.
Who finished Mandalorian?
Oh,
I
yeah.
did. I did. Well, it was really good. Although, the only thing that I had a problem, and it wasn't even a problem, it just felt almost like it was a bit tidied up a little bit, was the whole conversation at the end after they've resolved everything, and it was almost very much everything's okay and rosy, and it just that felt a little out of place to me. You know what I'm talking about, where they're standing there.
This is a beautiful town now that everything's.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, now
just,
that the Empire's
it felt
gone,
it just felt very quickly wrapped up there,
especially for what's her face to stick around.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I would agree.
So it was just a little too rosy there for the tone that they've had the whole.
You have
whole
mountains
story,
of
but-
dead stormtroopers everywhere. This is not going to be a rosy town for a while.
Everything else
But
about
I
it
did
was-
like the cliffhanger of that too.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. We'll see where that goes.
I loved how
Because Sabine was the last one to have that, right?
Yeah.
I loved how Tycho pulled a lot of Jenny Tartakovsky. It felt like into this last one with
Oh, I felt like he put his own stamp on it.
Well, it did, but there were just those moments like droids on speeder bikes. That was like, oh, that's right out of the Clone Wars.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So it just there were my only I have one complaint about the entire thing because so much of it was squee inducing. And it's I don't know how much I want to say on the air, but remind me later and I'll bring it up.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't watched it yet, but it was really good.
Sean, did you watch any movies?
I saw a whole slew of things. I'm only going to mention 3. Dr. Sleep, which is fantastic. It's really, really good. And coming as somebody who I came very late to The Shining, and I've seen bits and pieces of it and kind of knew of it and everything, but to actually sit down and watch it from beginning to end, I was left a little hollow on it because there's not much Shining in it. It's all about, Jack going nuts. Dr. Sleep is all about The Shining. It's all about the magic powers and how it comes to be and, what to deal with it and tons and tons and tons of Dark Tower references.
Yeah, I read that this was Stephen King wanted a way to make the first movie better, is what I read.
I think they did.
Because he didn't like the first film.
Yeah.
And I think for that same reason that they left a lot of The Shining out of it. And he hated the first movie. He did not like the first movie. And so when they went to him with this one, they said, this is how we're going to do this, but we're going to bill it as a sequel to The Shining. And he said, okay. And so I think this was more to appease him.
Well, and
he
what's
wrote
really
a novel
interesting.
too.
Yeah,
it's
based on a novel. But their point was they're going
to try to bridge the gap.
this
between
is
the
going
novels.
to exist in the universe
Okay.
and explain a lot of the things that were left out of The Shining.
And what's interesting is that it very much feels like plot-wise, it's we're going in this direction with it. And yet it is so married to all of that iconic imagery
Right.
from The Shining. And it's all there, and it's all legit. It has a reason for existing and calling back the way that it does. And it's Ready Player One level of they nailed it. I mean, it looks right. And they return to the Overlook, and it was really, really good. So I can't say enough good things about that one. I really liked it. And then I saw Cats today, mainly out of morbid curiosity. And
Wait, who'd you go with?
I went with Corey.
Oh, okay. Because
She went back to it? No, Jesse went. Never mind.
Jesse,
Mel and Jesse
that's why I
went,
was
yeah.
going to say I wasn't sure if Mel would have gone again for you.
She would have, but she wasn't happy about the idea. So. And I tried to stay open-minded, even though I had read a bunch of the reviews about it. And so it started, and there are 3 levels of there's theater, and then there's musical theater,
And then there's whatever
Cats.
this is.
Okay, and doing Cats as a movie is a folly because it's not designed for that. It's one of those stories that simply can't be adapted.
Well,
it is what it is.
The problem with Cats is not a linear story. Cats is a number of poems is basically what it is in order and set to stage performance. And there's no through line. So now I understand that they attempt to make a through line.
They kind of sort of hammer a through line onto it, and yeah, it's there, but it simply doesn't matter because it's very unfortunate because there's so many quality individuals associated with this. I really felt bad for the actors because Ian McKellen was great, and Judi Dench was good, and believe it or not, James Corden was probably the best thing in it. Even though I know the internet's really big on hating on Corden, but I think it's because he's done theater So
Oh, yeah.
he knows what we're aiming for.
He knows what Cats
Sure,
is.
sure.
And but it was so poorly executed. Even the editing. I mean, the way it was shot is like, that's not how you would do this sequence. That's what made the green screen look terrible, is because you shot it this way. You don't edit it the way that they edited it. You know. Yeah, it failed miserably on the adaptation itself of how to put it into this new medium. Starting with the fact that you really can't adapt it into this new medium. But I don't think it's as, you know, yes, it's a dumpster fire, but no, it's not the horrific, oversexed piece of garbage that everybody seems to be, you know. They really are championing making this the worst film of the year. And I honestly don't know that I can go that far. It's bad, but it's not, you know. Now, also, I've seen that one of the big new things apparently is trying to turn it into the next Rocky Horror. I've seen a lot of people that are, you know, how many drugs can we take and then go see Cats and that kind of stuff. And admittedly, in that kind of environment with a large group of people that are all thinking the same thing, it probably would be a blast to watch. But just me and Corey in the theater, that was not it. And then lastly, I went and saw Rise of Skywalker again.
Oh, you did?
Oh.
And I saw it in 3D. There are a couple of really cool shots. For the most part, the 3D is not worth it. And 2 viewings in, I can honestly say I think the luster's off this one. It still is enjoyable for what it is and for what it presents. But it was so much easier to start picking it apart and go, this doesn't make any sense. This thread doesn't go anywhere. Why is this here? And I tried really hard not to get into that mindset, but it just kind of kept hitting me in the face as I was sitting there watching it. And so it's like, I'm going to stay away for a while.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to pick apart my Star Wars.
Sure. I've yet to go back. But
Yeah, neither have I.
So.
All right. Well, I didn't really watch anything, so... Rise of Skywalker is the last thing I saw, and that's been before the last time we
Not even any at home, huh?
No, not really. I've been watching series and stuff like that. So, all right. Well, it's we have no news this week, right?
No news this week.
News because the series back on. There's
there's
news.
one big
Right.
piece of news. Doctor Who is back.
Doctor Who is back. Doctor Who is on. So I guess.
Are you sure you don't want to skip not talking about?
Yeah,
news
let's let's. Yeah, this would be the one opportunity I could have done it. Well, let's move on to feedback then.
First up in feedback, we have Holly. And I accidentally closed the email. Here we go. I pulled the show. Hey guys, wishing everyone a very happy new year. What a way to start the year with a new episode of Doctor Who, and an exciting one at that. Love the opening part where all of Team TARDIS are going about their normal day-to-day lives when the Doctor calls them, and then they get visits from the Men in Black. I was chuckling at Graham's worst Uber ever line. Reminded me a bit of the 10th Doctor and his worst rescue ever line from The End of Time. Was kind of guessing MI6 and Stephen Fry as C was great. I wished he would have survived longer. The Bond gags and jokes were enjoyable between Graham and Ryan. What can I say about O? When he first showed up, I was really warming up to him and liking him, thinking it would be great to see more of him. And then the, pardon the pun, bombshell at the end of the episode that O isn't O, but the Master. Oh boy, didn't see that coming at all. Makes me wonder if this is the only Master running around or if Missy or Saxon Master survived. The whole thing with Barton has me interested as well, with how could the Master have been helping him with his businesses. Only time will tell, but I'm liking the new incarnation of the Master. Can't wait to see how this concludes. If this is any indication of the season and 2-parters to come, something tells me we're going to be in for quite the ride. It's so nice to have Doctor Who back on our screens. I'll wrap it up here. Holly from Wisconsin.
Thank you, Holly.
Sent in some feedback for part 2. She wrote, "Hey guys, wow, what a way to end the 2-parter. The scenes with Ryan and Graham on the plane following the Doctor's plan, and her coming on the screen and telling Graham not to panic when he clearly was, had me chuckling. The Doctor knows her fam pretty well. There's really no love lost between the Master and Mr. Barton. The actor playing the Master has done a terrific job. The Kasavan are an interesting enemy, and I wonder if they aren't going to be making a return appearance later again this season. The Master, using his tissue decompression gun left and right and center, was just a bit terrifying. I'm also wondering exactly how much of the truth the Master is telling about Gallifrey. I wouldn't put it past the Time Lords to do something that the Master's claiming without giving all the details, but he does happen to follow one of the Doctor's rules, and that is the Doctor lies. So does the Master as well. So we also have another use for the sonic screwdriver, that of a recording device. Maybe one day it will work on wood and deadlock seals. The Master clearly wasn't expecting that, and the fallout from it. Something tells me that this isn't the last we've seen of the Master. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season. I'll wrap it up here. Holly from Wisconsin.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you again,
Thanks, Holly. Up next in feedback is Jamie.
Jamie writes, Series 12, Episode 1, Hey there, Vortexers. So, wow. That was... Wow. What an ending. Okay, wait, let me back up. Spyfall Part 1. Love the James Bond feel to it. The car chases, the spy stuff. The aliens, kind of meh. They don't really do much except phase through walls and glow. Extra dimensional is cool. Now watch them just be illusions. I knew that the death of Missy at the end of Series 10 wasn't final, unless this incarnation falls between Saxon and Missy. I don't think we actually saw a regeneration. We just kind of got into the TARDIS and left. So I'm kind of bouncing all over the place. Sorry about that. It's weird seeing the guy who played Waris Hussein on Adventures of Time and Space as the Master, and the turn from O to the Master was so well done. Seeing his TARDIS, the mention of the TCE, wow, it was one hell of a cliffhanger. So the companions, they were split up well. I feel like Yaz feels a bit more well-rounded this time. In Series 11, she felt shunted into the background and then just periodically gave the Doctor an idea. Ryan is there. He feels like a person. Graham is his usual likable self. And the Doctor. Jodie feels like she's fitting into the role a bit better. I still don't know how to describe her character. She feels a bit manic, but with a lust for exploration. I'm warming to her more, I guess. It helps that the writing seems better this time around. The guest stars. Stephen Fry. I'm sure Glenn is excited. Despite not being in much of the episode, he still did a great job. Lenny Henry. Never had heard of him before the casting news, but enjoyed his character. I'm interested in seeing how they resolve the cliffhanger and what these aliens actually are and what the Master's plan is. Also wondering how what appears to be World War II Paris plays into things. Anyway, expect more feedback as things air. I won't keep any longer. Keep up the great show. Jamie. And Jamie continues with another piece of feedback. Series 12, Episode 2. So, Spyfall Part 2. After a fun spy episode with an amazing ending, does Part 2 stick the landing? Yes, I think so. Not as good as Part 1, but the second parts rarely are. The conclusion and defeat of the Master were well done. I hope he gets out of his prison. I love this incarnation. He goes from charming and likable to villain to mad, angry, and crazy. He's just a lot of fun. The historical guest stars were enjoyable and explained well, but just didn't stand out super well for me. And finally, Gallifrey and the Timeless Child. I feel that this will be at least the series arc, if not Whittaker's era arc, kind of like the Crack and the Silence were for Matt Smith, or Missy and the Good Man for Capaldi. I find the evolution of Gallifrey in the new series interesting. When you start with Series 1 with them gone because of the Time War, find the Doctor didn't destroy them and instead hid them away in a pocket universe, and then deal with the Doctor going home, and now the Master's destroyed it. RTD got rid of it, Moffat brings it back, Chibnall destroys it again. So far, I'm enjoying Series 12 a lot more than I did Series 11. Everyone feels more relaxed and personable. Chibnall wasn't lying about this season opener being huge and epic. Will they be able to keep this up? I don't know. I think last season they were trying too hard. Too hard to make it accessible, too hard to distance themselves from the Moffat era, just trying too hard to be modern. This year it seems like they listened to complaints, took the extra time to polish things up a bit, and I look forward to seeing where we go from here. Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie.
All right, well, let's tackle our reviews.
Spyfall. The security of the entire world is at stake, so head of MI6, C, enlists the 13th Doctor and her team to investigate former agent spy Daniel Barton to see if he's been turned against them. Meanwhile, an alien threat that can pass through walls, even those of the TARDIS, known as the Kasavan, is wiping out spy organizations all over the planet. Can former MI6 Agent O help them, or is he not who he claims to be?
Dun, dun, dun. What a way to put that twist reveal on the synopsis there.
That synopsis was from TARDIS Wiki, not from BBC.
First of all, can we give a round of applause to the BBC and Chris Chibnall for finally managing
Keeping
to
it
pull a
secret.
surprise on us? Wow. I had no idea the Master was coming back. Did you guys? You hadn't heard anything
I
at
did.
all,
I got spoiled
right?
on it.
You did get spoiled. Well, no. You got spoiled like day of.
I got spoiled day of because it had aired. I hadn't had a chance to watch it.
But did
yet.
you
I
know
did not know
before
ahead of
that?
that?
Well, now that doesn't count then, because that's just it aired,
just-
and
yeah.
so
Yeah.
and for all the people complaining that all the headlines were there and it spoiled it for everybody. Yeah, I think you have reason to complain, but on the flip side, this airs in the UK. It's one of the biggest.
This isn't
it's
new.
It's
You
event.
stay off the internet till you watch it.
Exactly. This is event. If somebody had spoiled this a week out before anybody saw it, that's not fair play. But I almost have to say it's fair play if it's aired in the UK and UK media is hyping it or talking about it, or I think that's perfectly fine.
I
So.
agree with you. Well, and I don't even know how I feel about this, because what I think a lot of people are complaining about is the fact that BBC was live tweeting along with it.
Right, which I think
And
is
so
absolutely
that all
fine.
of a sudden is showing up in people's feeds. But I agree with you.
I
It
think
goes back to the
just
you just got to stay off
of
the
it.
internet
Just
if
be
you don't
aware.
want to
Now,
know.
the BBC probably should have made it very clear that we'll be live tweeting along for American audiences that haven't seen it. Make sure you silence their feeds or something. Maybe they should have done better, some due diligence, but I can't fault them.
And what I think it was
I can't
is
fault
I think
any of them.
I think other people were sharing the BBC's tweets, going, "Holy crap! Did you see?" And it's like, come on, guys, we're back to that again. But
East West Coast deals with this in the United States all the time.
Yeah.
In fact, the West Coast on shows, they go dark. They stay off the internet for 2 hours because they don't get shows until 4 hours, 3 hours after they've already aired. So we just have to have the mentality of doing the same thing when the BBC is airing these
Which I
things,
have
especially
for a
when it's
while,
going to be
so.
such big revelations and exciting events.
yeah.
That happen. So, all right, I'm off that.
So
book.
while watching it and he showed up, I had an inkling in the back of my head, like, was that rumored that he was going to be on here? Because I obviously recognized the actor.
Right.
Not only from Adventure in Space and Time, but Iron Fist.
That was I couldn't think of what the other thing I
That's
knew
what it
him
is.
from. I knew that he was Waris Hussein in
Yeah.
Adventures of Time and Space. I forgot that's who that was.
Yeah.
Okay, I knew there was something else I knew him from.
And so in the back of my head, I was like, did I see rumors somewhere that he was the Master, or was that a wish list? And I tried to look it up after the episode aired and couldn't find a single article referencing it.
I think we're
it must have been something
used
in
to
my
getting
brain.
spoiled that we fabricate, because I kind of felt the same way. I was this maybe hinted at and I just missed it or had forgotten about it or something? But
Yeah. And I inadvertently got spoiled by trying to remember if he was in Demons of the Punjab also, because for some reason I thought he was. So I went to go look up his character on TARDIS, or his actor on TARDIS Wiki, and wound up seeing that the episode featured the Master, but didn't see that it was him as
this
the
was
Master.
before it aired?
This was as I was watching it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, at least it was.
And so I was going down the rabbit hole of, is Daniel Barton really the Master?
You guys. I
It
was
was a rookie move.
so I got to
I
the.
didn't think TARDIS
I
Wiki
legit
would be-
tried to
So
stay off.
I'm the only one that genuinely got to the end of the episode and went, "Oh!"
I still would have gone. What? The way that played
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
And
I
the,
was
the,
still
the writing there was fantastic, and the way that he did it. And then I did say to go after the Spy Master, and as soon as he said that, I went, even though I knew, because it was that big of a thing. Or should I say spy? And in my head, I'm going, yeah, draw it out, wait for it. Yeah, here it comes, Master. It was so well done.
Yeah, I thought so too.
And then I was so angry that I found out.
My only nitpicks, actually, there was one really, really glaring, obvious problem with this. And that's the fact that they killed off Stephen Fry's character way,
No,
I knew that was
way
going to be
too
right.
soon.
Why bother
Way
bringing
too
him
soon.
in if you're going
I
to
know,
off him like
because he's
that?
only got about, 8 minutes of screen time.
If
By the
that-
time he
that.
shows up to the time that he sits down in that chair is talking to her and gets shot in the back,
Yeah.
I was
It's
like,
probably 8 minutes, but he's not even on
how,
screen the
how
whole
many
time.
years have I been hollering that they need to get Stephen Fry on Doctor Who, and then they do, and then they do that to me? I mean, come on.
You know that was purposeful, just to get to you.
Yes, they were targeting me. Damn it.
It was probably Stephen Fry. He said, I would love to make this a recurring role. I could come back, every handful of episodes, every year as, the head of MI6 and do something. But look, there's this guy.
He's obsessed with me, and
I think it'd be really funny to do this.
So that really stunk. No, but for real, the I think the other things that I just had a little issue with is, well, first of all, I love that they were doing the spy element of it. I love the James Bond idea of this.
it's such a good
I-
job.
I-
with
it was
the feel and the music.
It was, and I think you had said it in TARDIS Sauce that it's not so much a parody but an homage, but it's almost a little bit of both.
It's a little bit of
It's
both.
a little bit of both.
Because parts of it are played for laughs.
Right, exactly,
But
and I
those
think
are-
that's why.
But those are, like, within character moments played for laughs.
Well, the
like,
meta. It's almost
Yeah.
meta details
Yeah.
about it that because they recognize that they're in a spy scenario,
Right.
and James Bond is something in their universe that is fiction and exists. So
it's not like it's Lethal Weapon, not Lethal Weapon, Loaded Weapon?
Loaded Weapon.
Loaded Weapon
Right.
level parody.
right,
Yeah.
no, not at all. And so, but
Naked Gun. Naked Gun, that's what it is.
Naked Gun, there you go. But I think the problem that I have is I felt like the spy tech was taken a little too far to the unreal. It pushed the unrealism bubble. And it wasn't even so much that in the first episode, the tech that they take into what was the bad guy's name?
Daniel.
Yes, into his offices and stuff, and getting the security badges and all the different things. It wasn't so much that; it was the laser shoes. Just the laser shoes were.
You
just
introduce a laser shoe, you have to pay it off. It's
I-
Pavlov's gun.
I agree.
Or Chekhov's gun.
Chekhov's gun. But I agree, but I just would have rather them not have introduced it. I think some more realistic technology. I mean, it could still be a little over the top, but not just
The rocket cufflinks were okay, but the laser
maybe.
shoes
But
not.
the rocket cufflinks even still looked like lasers. I just had a bit of an issue with that, and again, I think it was there for some comedic effect.
That's all it was there for.
And, it's funny because Tim had the same problem. He really came down on the laser shoes. And this is an MI6 that exists in the same universe as Torchwood and
I can totally
Unit.
buy it.
But Torchwood and Unit would never have gone to laser shoes.
But the fact of the matter is that there is this alien tech that's falling all over Cardiff in the UK. Laser shoes are not outside the realm of probability in my mind.
Now, how the laser shoes were executed, I didn't quite think made a lot of sense. Shooting out of the heels? Really? If you're going to have a laser shoe, have it come out the toe.
Yeah.
So you can aim and just boom, boom,
I
boom.
can only imagine in the rule book that he didn't bother with probably in the little box in the bold print at the top was do not wear laser shoes while using that you're supposed to take it off and use it as a melt the door or something.
Instructions.
Okay.
But it's one of the it was terrible. It was just a terrible dad joke level thing, and I hated it, and I laughed, and I was like, damn it.
Yeah.
So the minute I laughed, I had to give it to him. I think a lot of that's Graham.
The other thing that bothered me going back to the first episode too was there was a little too much when they were the motorcycle chase, which was fun, There were far too many bullets ricocheting off the motorcycles for me to believe that nobody was going to get hit by
Those
a bullet.
headlights were impervious.
Yeah, so I think
not a single
I
tire
had
struck.
no problem with lots of shots being fired, but I didn't need to see them pinging off the front of the motorcycle every single time.
You should have missed a lot more.
Yeah, there should have been a lot of misses, which at the rate of speeds they were going and as sporadic as the car was driving, yeah, I think that it would have been realistic that he didn't hit anybody. I mean, it could be realistic that he didn't hit anybody, but to emphasize that they were being shot out by utilizing the pings off the light and the chrome and everything, that was just a little too much.
But plastic reflector. Yeah.
But other than that, I just had a lot of fun. I think the writing was a lot more concise this year than it's been in the past. I felt like the Doctor finally has that, what you were looking for, that more gravitas, that more purpose for being there. I think she especially gets that in the second part of this.
Yeah.
It's very much a Doctor move, what she does. But after watching it, even the first episode, I kind of felt like my first thought was, okay, yes, I enjoyed this. Yes, this is very good. But I also liked the last season's idea of exploring different avenues and not making me feel safe and not, using all of the, not talking a lot about, and I agree with what Jamie said, is that last season they tried really hard to distance themselves from Moffat's era. And not that I thought they needed to go as far away from it as they did, but I enjoyed the fact that we were exploring new territory. We didn't have any returning villains. We were coming up with new and different ideas to kind of move the series forward without falling into that trap of continuing to bring back the same villains which I absolutely love the same villains every week, don't get me wrong, but it just I'm on the edge of, are we going to fall into that trap of trying to please so many fans that we're going to fall into this humdrum repeat of everything again? And as we said, and what makes that even more so is the whole idea of Russell T. Davis got rid of Gallifrey, Moffat brought it back, and Chibnall destroyed it again. And so I thought, are we ready for another Doctor, vengeful because something? Now this time it's not. It's vengeance. It's not remorse.
Right.
It's not regret. It's going to be, she's mad because this has been taken away from her this time after all the efforts that she's gone through to preserve it. But it seems too soon. It seems way too soon. I am intrigued.
We just got Gallifrey back, and we didn't even get any. We got one story on it, and that's it.
Right. I am intrigued by the child, the
timeless.
Thank
child.
you, timeless child. I keep wanting to say nightmare child. The timeless child.
They're brothers.
It's a different child.
And I'm excited with the idea.
Oh.
If they play it through, that things aren't the way we've always expected them or what we've come to know, I kind of intrigued by that. If you can do it realistically without just kind of throwing everything out in the past, but just giving us that little we didn't quite know this was happening type thing. I'm intrigued by that, but
I'll go one step further. I'd even be okay with, this is a dangerous place for a showrunner to go. So, Chibnall, if you're listening, don't. But
too late. He's already got the series in the
too
can.
Late, yeah.
The idea that whatever happened, whatever this lie is that Gallifrey Society has been built upon, and in perpetuity we've been told this and fed this line of BS, that if it comes to pass that the Doctor finds out this is a lie, and literally everything that we know from day one of this show can be thrown out because of whatever this momentous thing is, I think that's bold, and I think that's cool, and I think that's just earth-shattering. And I'm honestly a little okay with not having a backup plan. I'm okay with somebody coming in and saying, boom, bombshell, nothing you thought was true for the entire running course of this show. I don't know what it is. That's up to somebody else to figure out down the road. I kind of that is a very intriguing place to be if it winds up coming to pass. Because it's easy to destroy things. It's much harder to create them. And so to come along and go, yeah, I'm just going to throw it all out. And I'm not going to worry about it.
I'm going to Ryan Johnson this.
Yeah.
See if we can get JJ to fix it. Oh, wait.
What you said is, to the reverse side of this, is I very much enjoyed this two-parter, and I did feel like it was kind of a return to form. It felt more like what I wanted out of Doctor Who. Now, I enjoyed new villains and new monsters and not necessarily continually going back to the well. And we've all talked about that. There's only so many times the Cybermen or the Daleks can come, or the Master can come back. And for all of the celebration of this reveal of the Master, it's also been done. It's Missy going, ta-da, I'm the Master, and everybody going, huh?
Which arguably was a better reveal because of the gender switch.
Yeah.
Or Derek Jacobi. And how that was
Jacobi.
What?
Jacobi. Thank you for correcting yourself this week on the show.
That was, it's the same reveal. So I feel like I shouldn't necessarily applaud it as much as I am for it, because it's just, well, the Master showed back up.
Well, it's the same old Master plot too.
Yeah, exactly.
Team up with an alien and it goes wrong.
What made it so exciting and made it fresh and new is the fact that they were able to keep the secret this time, because we've been spoiling the Master all the way back in the Davis era. We knew that John Sim was coming and he was going to show up and he was going to play the Master. Now we didn't know that Jacobi was going to start that and bring us in, and so they did a nice job there. But they've really spoiled us on these players ever since. Yeah.
But so while while it feels like a return to form for me, I also, as you pointed out, I worry that, okay, is this a return to form because this was kind of the plan all along, is that we wanted a kind of a gap year, if you will, to take a break and bring on new people who didn't have to worry about the continuity before we stepped back into it? Or was this a result of that minor vocal group of fans that, it's not my Doctor Who and I don't like it and blah, blah, blah. And are they affecting those changes, and are we going to have a Star Wars situation now?
No.
If Ryan Johnson were to break it, are we going to get a JJ trying to fix it?
If it weren't for them obviously picking up the drop line that Chibnall wrote in the second episode last season about the Timeless Child, I would be more inclined to think that a lot of this was reaction to the fanboy. But because he's picking up a plot point or a reference that he dropped early on in his run and developing it into a story, it makes me think that it's the opposite, where he has a plan of what he envisions for his time on the show is going to be.
Complete with flashbacks to that episode.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
But I think
if it was written by somebody else, I would think it would be this is an easy thing to go back and grab.
But it's too small of a thread, because even what we got dropped in about a Timeless Child was still not enough that I could tell you a really clever name, the black and white pantomime, and then you're like, whoa, what's this? And then in a year from now, give you a black and white pantomime story. So I mean, to me, it's too small of a thread.
I'm still waiting for the duck pond.
I'm hoping you're right.
See, I guess because there's so many other random things, name drops that we get throughout the show, the Nightmare Child, all these things that never actually got picked up as threads, that this one thing that did get dropped is being picked up, makes me think that he had it planned all along.
Or he's making it look like he did. He did.
Or he's
just making it look like he did.
No, I agree. I'd have to go back and rewatch Ghost Monument to be sure, but I believe the way the Timeless Child is brought up, it felt more like a seed being planted than the Nightmare Child, which is kind of obvious.
Well, the Nightmare Child is just a cool name drop. Yeah. That's different.
But this to me felt more like a we're going to come back.
Nuggets.
Yeah. Here's a nugget for you. We're going to come back.
Well, no, and I think that he did, but I guess my point is that he could have still dropped that with the intent to come back to that, but not but
not this year, next year.
Not this year, next year, or he might have decided that it was something that he was going to do last year and stayed away from it because he was still focused on something else, and then he intended to bring it back in the next series. But to me, just dropping something that you're planned to use later is not enough of a. This is why we've revamped all of this. It's like I can connect the Timeless Child to this Gallifrey plot. Oh, and I've dropped Gallifrey back in here for the people that want to hear about Gallifrey again, and I can connect it to the Master, which I'm dropping back in here because I want people to feel comfortable about Doctor Who.
Yeah,
that's my problem.
He could have very easily picked up the Timeless Child.
I certainly think
not had any of.
Yeah, exactly. It could have been a plan all along, which I think it was because he dropped it so early. But I don't think it has anything to do with going back to a more secure footing with Doctor Who fans as far as the series is going. So I love comfortable shoes. I buy new shoes and they look great and I think they're going to be fantastic, and then I find myself 2 weeks later in my old pair of shoes because they're so much more comfortable. And that's how Doctor Who is with me as well. I like the look of new shoes and they look good on me, but eventually I'm back in my old comfortable shoes. And that's what this is probably going to be, and I'll probably just be just as happy.
A more apt analogy I don't think I've ever heard.
I'll be just as happy with it as I was last season, because you guys know that I enjoyed the heck out of last season. I had very few problems with last season. It had some really superb episodes, and it had a few that I would consider turkeys, but still weren't, horrible. It was being made out to
There
be.
was a talking frog, Glenn.
Well, I didn't like that one.
That was one of the issues.
That was one of the issues.
It really depends on how the rest of the season plays out. For me, more than anything.
Very true.
The Master is coming back every single episode, then it's going to feel like a crutch. But if it's just this, we got this great reveal, this great twist, and then moving forward as she uncovers this mystery and other standalone strong episodes like last year, it will feel like a balance of both worlds. And I hope that's kind of where the direction they're going, where they're comfortable new shoes. They're new shoes that are the same old brand, just new.
I don't know. I could see the Master coming back every episode and that being kind of the new thing, because we really haven't had that in a while. You'd have to go back to Pertwee, where the Master was in it, virtually every episode, unless you look at the Capaldi season with Missy. But even that was a different dynamic, because he was actively trying to
half the time.
Right, because there was the mystery element, and then he was trying to actively redeem her.
I don't see Chibnall doing a Master every story this season. I see the Master dipping back in,
bookending
in the middle, and then probably again at the end, or probably in the middle and then again definitely at the end. So the other thing, but here's what Chibnall did well. Another thing that Chibnall did well is he is still sticking to his guns of giving strong roles to females in here, and I think both Ada and the gal from Paris in World War II, the radio operator, giving them something to do and showing their importance, their important roles in history as women, and giving them something to do in order to help the Doctor, I think still instills that powerful women idea that this new series, that the last two series, or these last, since Jodie's come on board, showing that there are important women and there are parts for important women in this series. And I think that he's continuing that by doing that while still making things comfortable for fans that, with stuff that's come before. So I was really impressed by that. I was very, very impressed by those.
That was definitely one of the better parts of part 2, I think. That, and Yaz gets a much better role in this entire story. It drops off a little bit when it becomes the 3 of them in episode 2, but episode 1, she is definitely the much more competent character, with Ryan running around. Although
she's sort of in her element.
Yeah, she's a lot more in her element. it makes me the conversation Ryan and her have outside the hut, which turns out to be the TARDIS, has me concerned that they're building her up and then they're going to kill her to further Ryan's growth. Just that conversation of I'll never let that happen.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a red flag. She's going to die.
Yeah.
And I'm really worried that they're going to actually go through with it, and I hope they don't. Because it's time for her to have her due.
Yeah, I agree. And I thought Yaz was pretty strong in both parts. Very much in the first part. But
I just wanted her to stop calling people.
Well, but also in the second, when
purpose.
The second, I felt like had a really good balance between. Normally, you get the companions off on their thing, and the doctor's over here with guest star of the week doing their thing, and sometimes it doesn't jive as well. And I thought there was a really good balance between them, but especially from the standpoint that because Ryan and Graham were so caught up in the spycraft and the gadgets and the geeking out over laser shoes, that she was the adult of that group. So she was still, in charge. She still had that agency about her, and she's the one that, all of the conversations that they have. Well, what would the doc want us to do? We go ahead. We do what, she was the driving thrust of all of those decision makings, which is really interesting that, at the very beginning of this episode, we're split up and we're doing our own things and blah, blah, blah. And now we're continuing forward with the doctor's plan as best we can. That's a huge leap.
Yeah.
For this particular group of companions.
It is. It is. And I think that helped for some character growth and development for those three characters as well. I think the problem that the second part of this does, though, is it doesn't give those companions a lot to do. There's not a lot for them to do other than press forward because they're continually running and hiding. And then when they finally get to the place where, what's the guy's name again? Daniel has been. Mom's already dead, and they've showed up, and he's already flown the coop. So there's nothing that they do is very constructive in that second episode, unfortunately. But that gives the Doctor a chance to really kind of shine and highlight that character in that story. So that was one of the things I had a little bit of problem is I kind of felt like the companions needed more to do than just run from one spot to the next. But
at least with their running, they wound up turning the tables and using it to their advantage.
Yes.
So at least they weren't just
the laser shoes ended up helping. So
yeah.
I did like the fact that after she was calling her mom when Ryan realizes, oh wait a minute, we got to get rid of the phones, and she's calling her mom, and then he throws the phone on the ground and breaks it. And then
Can't you just turn your phone off?
Yeah, so you don't have to break it. And then
no, they can track SIM cards.
Not if the phone's powered down.
If the phone is,
you have to power the phone down.
Power the phone down, take the battery out.
Yeah, if you power the phone down.
Why do you think they made it so you can't remove batteries anymore? Guarantee that's why.
No, so there is some merit to the fact that there's a trickle battery in there, is because you've still got to power clocks and things like that on them. But that being said, so when they got to that phone call in the middle of nowhere where he's letting her, and I thought, what are you quit doing? Calling it. I was so grateful that was part of a ploy and a setup to get the cars from him. So,
because just when you're thinking, oh, really, we're going to be that tropey.
Yeah, gotta call
mom, and get her out of town thing, and that's how the bad guy finds you. I mean, this has been a thing since before Terminator. I mean, it's forever. But then we outsmart. Don't tell them. Oh yeah.
My only issue with the story is the overall plot of the aliens. I like how it's executed. I think it's interesting and fascinating. I just don't understand the why still. And I've watched both parts twice now. Why were they rewriting human DNA?
Yeah, I don't know that we know that. I also don't know
That's my only issue, is the fact that they didn't answer that.
Did they really answer why they were targeting spies?
No, I don't think so either.
The
spies were onto them.
There was a drop line about the spies figured out something was up, and that they were onto them.
Okay. So they found out the Kasavan were there.
I mean,
that's why they were tracking.
That's okay. Now that you say that, I remember that. Yeah. That makes sense. But I had kind of also rationalized the fact that O had infiltrated MI6, or the Master, as O, had infiltrated MI6. So they had to get MI6 on board, and so taking out spies would have brought the Doctor to where they needed to be. I had kind of rationalized that.
A little bit of both.
But I forgot they'd said that.
There was some sort of implication I picked up from the episode that the Master had manipulated those things into position too. Yeah. So
the other thing I forgot to go back and watch and pick up on was, did the Master took over as O before he even started in the organization, right?
On his first day.
On his first day. Okay, I thought I had.
So here's the rub on that. Wouldn't he have interviewed? Wouldn't they have known what he looked like?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, even the Doctor thinks it's him.
Well, but the Doctor met him after he'd already started.
So the Doctor met O when the O was already the Master.
Yeah.
So the last time that they... Yeah, that's why she's so familiar with what he looks like. Dude knows it. Yeah, so...
Maybe it was one of those email interviews or something.
Or it
for
was...
MI6.
Well, it's a tech guy, you know.
For MI6.
I suppose what we've been given, the only explanation is the same way he was able to infiltrate Nazis.
Yeah.
Is the facial
perception filter.
Yeah. Made everyone at MI6 think he looked like this guy.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
or he was
I'll
still
go with
regenerating and said, I'm going to look like you.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm going to look like you. I'm going to walk like you, talk like you.
Or he didn't regenerate at all. He stole the body.
He could have stole the body.
Yeah, I wondered that too. But then, I guess it could have been a decoy body in the matchbox.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we don't really see close.
Oh, that's right. He does show the
but we don't really see what the face
body,
looked like.
Yeah.
It could have been any decompressed body.
Boy, and the tissue decompressor, the use of that. And I was on the edge of my seat on that. The Ainley's Master never used that thing to that.
Not that willy-nilly.
That willy-nilly, or to that extent of number of times it using, and just flagrantly, that word, using it, not fragrantly, spraying.
Squirt, squirt, squirt.
Spraying stuff.
After they decompress, it smells of pine. I don't remember. I think anytime Ainley used it, it was a cutaway. That it would. The light would turn
No, we
on,
never saw.
We never saw. There was never an effect or anything. It was just we always found the doll.
We'd see it inside the seat of the car. Or we'd see
So that was fantastic. One of the things I loved about the Master, I think why I'm so high on this, is the number of callbacks. The fact that we got the tissue compression, the fact that did anybody pick up the conversation when they're on top of the Eiffel Tower? And if the Doctor says it's cold up here, reminds me of...
I couldn't quite remember what that was referencing.
Blah, blah, blah. And he says, did I ever apologize for that? No. Good. Okay, so I can't remember the name of it now to save my life. But I thought in my head, I was like, that's got to be Pharaoh's Project. That's got to be the radio tower, is what they're referencing. Yeah. So then I went and looked, and whatever the name of it is, turns out that was where they intended to go shoot that episode with the Pharaoh's Project, with the radio tower.
Oh, okay.
But then they couldn't shoot there, so they wound up shooting somewhere else instead, and then put a model of the radio tower in to make it look like that, but they called it Pharaoh's Project instead of the name of whatever this was. So then apparently there's this whole thing now going, well, was that really a callback to that moment, considering that it was under a different name in show, even though there is a real place named that, or
was it a meta moment in order to mark the fact that they were originally intended to go there?
Or is it even that Pharaoh's Project and this place are one and the same?
Oh,
we just have two different names for them. I don't really care. It was I picked up on it and I got that. And furthermore, when was it when the Master said something about laser scope with the gun? I think it was in that same conversation. They were talking about something with a sniper rifle, and he said, well, laser scope. He says, I never got over it. I got quite adept at it, or something to that effect. And I went, that's a Deadly Assassin reference.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I don't know if it was supposed to be or not, but that's the way I took it. So, yeah.
I didn't even think of that. I just thought of, that's part of what he did during the Time War, was a sniper.
A sniper, yeah.
Which still carries through and makes sense.
That's true.
I'm going to jump all over that one and say that was intentional. I'm just going to give Chibnall all the credit. But
that's why he took a year off.
he boned up on his
he went
Doctor
back
Who
and watched
history.
every episode of Doctor Who between from Hartnell's first day to
it worked for Star Trek.
yeah.
So there was that, but so much of the and Sasha's performance.
Yeah, he does such a good job.
I love the fact that he, as Jamie pointed out, he goes from, calculating, manipulating to
manic
and crazy, but never as out of control manic and crazy as the bad sim that we don't like,
right.
And even when he is manic and crazy, there's still that that gleam.
End of time.
Yeah.
Sim. Yeah.
That's him. But there's still that gleam in his eye that he's still in control, even when he's not. That's just, it was. He was so good.
Oh, another callback was the drums. When she's
the
contacting.
heartbeat.
I thought, wow, okay,
and the way he performed that when he went to go respond looked like he was having a PTSD attack from the drums. Yeah. Yes.
And Contact. Whoever thought we'd have got that again? If Jodie's face had appeared in the opening credits, I would have been as shocked as I was by any of these revelations. So all of the moments of this are great. Just across the board in both parts, I think it just is so strong on the fan service elements. The nitpicking, as Glenn would call it, is that at least so far, the story doesn't work.
Well, I think the story works. We just don't know the why of them.
We don't really know anything, because it's like okay, these transdimensional aliens, that they're here and they're performing the spycraft because they're spying on us for whatever reason. Well, it has something to do with the DNA manipulation and replacement, but we don't know why, other than he's going to turn us all into hard drives. Well, that's your goal. Is that really their goal? I mean, there's some sort of shared goal there, but we don't know. And they've been here for a long time, going all the way back to Ada Lovelace. And so now we get one recording of the Master revealing that he's going to turn on them, and it felt very much like okay, plan's off, and they all disappear, and it's like,
why wouldn't they just continue with their plan?
Now, admittedly, they're aliens. I don't know how they think. So maybe this is the greatest insult to the plan ever, and we can't continue forward now.
And I would nitpick that if we got to the end of this series and that was completely a dropped thread, and then we got to the end of Chibnall's time as showrunner, and we never got it picked back up. Then that's nitpicky. But I think right now, I think we have to accept the fact that there's there's obviously going to be some through threads for the season, and I would hope they would pick back up and give us more information. About these things.
And it's kind of like The Silence, except they were more encapsulated within their episode. It felt like there was a resolution there. But then all of a sudden they came back, and it didn't really jive with what had come before.
Right. Maybe Chibnall's trying to avoid that.
This feels like we purposely left it open-ended. So they better come back from that regard. But then even, what's his name?
Daniel Barton.
Thank you.
Yeah, Barton sneaks off.
Barton sneaks off at the end of the episode.
Yeah, I think
after telling everybody, okay, look at your phones. Oh, it didn't work. Okay, see ya. Fire up my escape plan. And he leaves, and that's the last we see of him. So I'm inclined to believe that at some point he's got to come back.
Right.
Yep.
That this doesn't feel like this can be a dangling thread of that level.
What I think would be cool is where Daniel, sneaks off, and we have another episode with him where they, having to show down with something's going on, and they realize that he's so powerful and has so much money that they just can't compete. And so what they end up doing is they bring back what's his name from last season in Arachnids, and he ends up allying with because he hates this guy, and he ends up allying with the doctor and our companions, and they end up. I think that'd be so great.
That'd be great.
This big power battle between them. It's not going to happen, but I think it would be awesome because that was another guy that we kind of felt like got off the hook, and nothing really happened, no repercussions.
Okay, I'm down with that.
And Daniel's whole storyline with the political message for the episode felt a little bit kerblamish.
It was very much kablam. That's what, in fact,
But
Mason said the same thing. He said, "Well, last year was Amazon, now it's Google."
Yeah, and I think it was done a little bit better, but just still not.
It was still pretty heavy-handed at the end.
Not quite sticking the landing as well as it could.
It was very heavy-handed, but it was, I thought, well done and probably needed, because as he's sitting there going blah blah blah, and I'm thinking about the fact that I just hooked up another Amazon Echo in the house.
Yeah, I did too, and I was sitting right next to mine with a camera. Mine's got a camera. That was another thing I got an Echo Show. Now I've got the camera disabled right now, but I was sitting there next to my Echo Show watching this going, yeah, I just hooked that up.
So then I feel like it's justified.
With a camera.
If we were all sitting there going, that's talking to me.
Yeah, it's justified. You're right.
That's where it does it better than Kerblam did, where I didn't have that thought while watching Kerblam. Yeah. This goes, oh yeah, that's our life right now.
Yeah, justifiable.
Okay, maybe we shouldn't. We should be actually looking at these agreements before we sign them.
Right.
But I think the questionable plan goes both ways, because they go through this whole motion in the first about, okay, we're gonna dress in our cool tuxedos, and we're gonna sneak onto the guest list, and we're gonna do this and get in, and keep your spy gadgets ready and spread out and cover the grounds, and we're gonna find him. And then the doctor goes, walks right up to him and says, "So, what's up with your evil plan?" It's like,
yeah,
you are a horrible spy. You don't get it. That's
she also
not
didn't know
works.
which game she was playing.
Yeah,
so.
And it just was.
Yeah.
Okay. We just.
That was good.
So those kind of moments that fill through the big, and then the two female guest stars. We still don't necessarily know why those particular female guest stars were in there, other than obviously Lovelace with the computer. That's kind of an
Lovelace
moment.
was important because she was in the first moment that the transcendental things had come. I think the only reason the other gal was in there was because they needed a vehicle for her to end up contacting, and they had just she admitted that the jump got interrupted or whatever, and it dumped them out into World War II. So
yeah, I never got the impression that she had any experience.
Right, she
with
wasn't
the Kasavan
necessary
previously.
Right,
like
she was never connected to it. She just happened
Just
right
happened
place,
to be the
right
one.
time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, having said that, both of these women are fascinating, and I would have loved a full episode on each one of them.
Well, yeah.
Not that we really had time for it with everything that was crammed into this, but I'm sorry, Keith, go ahead.
No, but going back to the importance, they do talk about how they were following a whole bunch of other computer developers throughout history too.
Right.
So even though the spy lady in Paris isn't one of those people, they still were following these people, and we don't know why.
Right.
Yeah.
To
There's
further
a lot
your
of
points. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it all ties back into this
I
hard
think
drive idea. But
yeah, that's just it. We do know why, and the why is they have been following computer technology from the very first computer, Babbage's idea and Lovelace's recognition of its usage later on. That was the invention of the computer right there, and they've been watching it to the point where they could finally utilize it. Is the point? So that's why they're watching all of these different points, because they're kind of journaling where we get to the point where, okay, now we need to make contact with this person, kind of thing. So it was the impression I got.
So it's the girl in the fireplace that they're looking through the time windows until she's ready.
Until it's ready.
Makes a lot more
until
sense
the technology
now.
is
Okay.
ready. Yeah.
But we still don't know why.
And I'm not even
what they were
sure.
going to do with said technology.
I'm not even sure said technology would have been ready with even Daniel, But with the Master intervening, I think he kind of
Yeah.
advanced the timeline for them.
Okay.
Do you think they were, looking in on TomTit and all those fancy computers, Wotan and
Wotan, and, yeah, absolutely.
that they were there for all of them?
Oh yeah.
That's how you drop references, Chibnall. Go back and do that. The other thing I'm not sure I'm thrilled about is the hand-waving away of Unit and Torchwood.
Well, this is the second time we've had Unit reference that it's been shut down.
I was okay
Less of a Brexit reference this time.
Right. I was okay with the first one because it could have been played off as a joke, or it could have been a real thing. They left it ambiguous enough that, okay, maybe they're there, maybe they're not. But now to come out and have the doctor say they're both gone.
Well, they are. They lost all their funding.
But again, it was ambiguous. You can refund something. You can always bring it back. But now it's a kind of official, yeah, they're gone, which means...
So Chibnall's just really kind of driving that home so that we all realize, oh, crud, well, I guess they're never coming back, only to, in 3 episodes, surprise us when Captain Jack shows up.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he gets rid of
Along
Unit,
with
he
Kate.
gets rid of Gallifrey. What am I thinking? I don't know where I fall on the Gallifrey part of it either.
Seems too soon for me to go back to Gallifrey thumping, but, well, I mean, just even Gallifrey-centric stuff. I know we didn't have a lot of it, because like you said, we finally got a Gallifrey story with Capaldi's...
Heaven Sent.
Yeah.
Hellbent, yeah.
Hellbent. No, Heaven Sent. Heaven Sent was the
Hellbent's
second
the-
one. Hellbent's first.
Hellbent's the
Confession.
one. Hellbent's the one
Hellbent's
on.
the one in the dial.
No, that's
right?
Heaven Sent.
Oh, that is Heaven Sent.
Is it Heaven
Okay.
Sent?
Because he's hellbent to
Oh, yeah.
destroy Rassilon.
Yeah, you're right.
That's how you
you're
remember
right.
that.
But anyway, with Hellbent we got
Hellbent
one,
to save
and
Clara.
with End of Time we got a couple, and then with the 50th anniversary special, The Day of the Doctor, we get very heavy Gallifrey stuff there too. But so yeah, it's been peppered in, but it just really kind of feels like too soon to go back to Gallifrey lore and discussions, and I don't know. We'll see.
Depends on what he does with it, really.
Well, I remember when Eccleston's season came along and we learned there was this war, Gallifrey burned, I'm the last of the Time Lords. That was such a heavy, whoa, really? And such a bold move to do it. And I wasn't sure how I felt about it then, because the Time Lords have been kind of such an integral part of this show, even though they never show up until it's that special time of the year when it's like, okay, we'll give you a Gallifrey episode. And then every time they did show up, they were horrible. So it shouldn't be that big a deal. But their absence really did leave a big hole in the show. And then to have the Doctor dealing with all of his, I'm the last of my kind, I'm the last of the Time Lords, that's a huge thing emotionally. So then we fix it and we bring them back. But they're in this pocket bubble. And it's kind of like, that's the best of both worlds, because they're out of the way, but you can still go visit if you need to do, if you want a Gallifrey episode, you could still do one. And now they're gone again. Okay, I mean, and how's that going to change the Doctor going forward? One of the things that I liked about this, and I complained last season a lot about, Jodie's Doctor didn't feel like she had that agency about her. She didn't have that edge that the previous ones have had. She did in this one. She very much was, especially after she went and saw that, the Master wasn't lying, at least not on this particular element of his story. Gallifrey's gone. It burned. And, you could just see it bubbling under the surface of her interactions, even with the fam later when they're asking her questions. And she answered, but she wasn't happy about it. And so I'm excited to kind of see, all right, well, where's this going to go? But yet at the same time, I don't want it to destroy the character.
Right.
Which I think the potential is there.
It's going to be a tough line to walk, because we don't want her to completely be back to her normal last season self in the next episode, which I'm a little worried it's going to be like a, Curse of the Black Spot of, all right, we got this huge bomb dropped on us. Let's go have fun. What? No, it's too much of a shift change.
No, I think they will do that, though.
I think they will,
I hope.
too.
I just hope Jodie portrays it just kind of a little bit more subdued and a little grumpier throughout the whole
In
thing.
fairness,
you don't have to do anything plot-wise. It can all be acting.
Yeah.
Would convey it.
In fairness, too, without going back and looking, I don't know how those episodes were filmed.
Oh, that's true.
So they may not know necessarily from one shooting day to the next that, okay, I'm on the pirate and I'm doing this, and then the next day you shoot that, but then they air them the opposite way, and you're like, oh, had I known, I'd have done that differently. You know, I don't know. That's always.
They also, I think, tend to have the scripts like that in advance when they're doing a shooting block. They usually have all the scripts for that block already, don't they?
I would think so.
So you would at least know that bomb would drop. I don't know. Depends on.
It depends on the show and the script and the season and the showrunner and so many other things.
Yeah.
I don't know. Matt Smith's Angel 2-parter was the first one shot in that series, and then they went back and shot 11th Hour and Beast Below after that. So.
That's true.
I wonder. I don't know. What could the Master have found? Of all the things that the Master has reason to be pissed at Gallifrey, and there's a lot. The drum beat's only the tip of the iceberg. But what could make him discover everything I've been told is a lie? The entire civilization is built on this lie. And even I am not okay with this lie. Now you're all going to die. What could possibly be?
Well, it's such a tough thing because it depends on the Master. If this is a Master that has gone through the slight redemption that Missy went through and then regenerated, and some of that continues, and that's why he's so mad, because he's had some of that redemption, or if it's something, it really depends. We don't know enough about this Master.
I would be surprised if this is a post-Missy Master. I don't think it is. I think this is somewhere maybe even earlier than Sim and Jacoby. I don't know for sure. I sort of feel in my gut that he is between Sim and Missy. Michelle Gomez's Master. I think he's somewhere in between there. Especially where they went with Missy, it almost really kind of destroys everything Moffat did with Missy as a character if this is a post-Missy regeneration. And I know that often the personalities change with the regeneration as well, and so, but I think that everything that she learned and was redeemed for in that would be completely stripped away if this is post-Missy. So I'm hoping this is pre-Missy.
I'm hoping so too, but I don't necessarily have faith in Chibnall to think the audience is smart enough to put that together.
Not unless we have him regenerate into Michelle Gomez.
Right, unless they show us it, I'm afraid he wouldn't think the audience could follow that line of here's where the Master's placement is.
Which I struggle with that, because obviously the easiest thing to do is to just, okay, this is the next Master, and not worry about placement. But you're right, that destroys what they did character-wise.
Well, and the way they left the character, it's implied that it's the end.
That is it, yeah.
Now,
of course,
as we've said, so the Master has been burned alive. The Master has been left for dead I don't know how many times.
He was in a box at one point.
he was digested by the TARDIS, destroyed by the RF Harmony. Apparently brought back. He was a robot, if we count that one. There are so many different times the Master has died and then comes back, and there's no explanation given. They don't even bother with it anymore. At least in the old series, they used to say, "How are you back?" And they wouldn't discuss it, but they would ask. Nowadays, the Doctor's used to it. He says, okay. And Jodie had the same reaction. You can't be. It is. Okay. We're just going to roll with it. So in that regard, I don't even know that the finite, and it felt very finite, he's poisoned and going to regenerate into her. He shoots her so that she can't regenerate, and we're done. I don't know that even with that hard and fast rule that you can ignore and hand wave it away and go, yeah, we're not going to deal with that.
Yeah.
But then again, what do I know? I've literally thought just about every demise of the Master was the demise of the Master at one point in time. So,
Well, I'm just saying it can't be done. It just I'm hoping that Missy was the last incarnation.
I would prefer it that way.
Yeah.
I just don't necessarily have faith in. Maybe it's not the faith in Chibnall. It's the faith in the BBC not sticking their fingers in, and saying, "I don't know if the audiences can follow that."
I don't get the impression that the BBC that any of the corporate execs up there really do any hands on. I really don't. I've never felt like Moffat's ever felt pressured. I never thought that Davis ever has felt pressured, with the exception of maybe that first year. And so I don't think that they're putting fingers in the pudding with Chibnall, other than I suppose the evidence could be is that he has changed course a bit.
If
as
that's
far as,
why he's changing course.
But maybe he's just listening to fans and the winds of the internet. I don't know.
it could have been okay, we gave you the female doctor, we gave you the this, we gave you the that, and now you're going to give us, we want the Master back. We want.
Yeah, but you think you'd have heard somebody complaining about that.
Yeah,
or
of all the things
yeah,
that have leaked.
there would have been rumblings about that, I think, but and I don't hear that. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
It would be really cool if this is pre-Missy, and that maybe the Doctor's interactions with the Master through their meetings in this run is maybe what convinces subconsciously the Master to become a female.
That would be kind of cool.
That would be a really unique and cool way to spin that. That they pulled a River and they're just out of order, but it's because of Jodie that the Master becomes Missy.
She saw.
Which is exactly why the audience should be given more credit, because we were able to follow handle the river saga. So,
well, the only forest in the water, the only river. No, I can't even say it, so I'm not.
The only water in the forest is the river.
Thank you.
well, let's wrap it up. Final thoughts on this. I'm excited for this series, and I'm looking forward to next week and the next. Well, we get 10 more.
8
more now.
That's what I said.
Bring it. I am ready for more.
I can't wait.
The fam is back.
Well, what do we got coming on the schedule? That's pretty obvious.
Sunday, next week.
Another episode.
Another episode of Who.
Woo! No titles yet, though. So
No titles as of yet.
We have next week's title, but that's it.
Yeah, it's I don't remember now what it was. I remember seeing that it had come.
Orphan 55 or something.
I'm kind of hoping that we're getting, since they did a good job with the Master Surprise, I'm hoping that we're getting title by the week now, because there would be too much of a giveaway in some of the titles. So I'm hoping that maybe that's
just don't do giveaway titles.
Well, yeah, I suppose that's true.
Blank in Manhattan.
Well, be sure to check our website out for any updates on this podcast. And while you're there, be sure to click on the Patreon link and consider supporting us. And remember, you can send comments and feedback to feedback@travelingthevortex.com or clicking on the send feedback link on the website. Until next time, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
No, I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing ya.
Did you forget where you were sitting?
No, well, yeah. I did you guys see that this was our anniversary week?
This is our anniversary week. Happy anniversary.
It was. I forget now how many years it's been.
It'll be 8 right now.
Yeah.
So 8. This is our. I saw that pop up and I was like, oh yeah.
Doctor Who was nice enough to return on our
anniversary.
Oh,
How cool is
how
that?
sweet.
And it's an anniversary, not an epiversary.
Right,
So,
anniversary. Thanks for listening.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.